Breaking news coming our way. NewsX investigation has given a new direction to 29-year-old pianist Karan Joseph's death case. The probe has now been transferred to the Mumbai Crime Branch, but his friends and family are still awaiting justice. Karan Joseph's friend, one of the two people Karan spoke to just 30 minutes before the incident, spoke to NewsX. Avisa Keskar told NewsX that Karan Joseph was neither depressed nor dejected, adding that he did mention Rishi Shah in the conversation. Listen in.
Karan called me at 7:26 p.m. My time, and I'm in Portland, so I'm 11 and a half hours behind. So it was a casual conversation. He just called to say hi, and yeah, I was watching a movie, so I was pretty distracted myself, but we just spoke about what's happening, and after which he asked me if I knew Rishi, his friend who was there. I said, no, I don't. He was laughing throughout the conversation, and I was also kind of laughing throughout the conversation. And yeah, we just said bye after that casually. Also, I couldn't really hear him too clearly because of how loud it was in the background. And yeah, that was pretty much the conversation. She just asked me if I knew Rishi, and I said, I don't know Rishi. I did speak to him, I think, a week or two back because I needed him to make some music for a video I'm working on over here. And to which I messaged him asking him if he'd be available to do that for me, to which he was quite excited to do it. And that was pretty much it, after which I didn't need the music anymore because he figured out another source of music. So I told him that this time I won't be needing his music, but next time hopefully we can do some work together again. And he said, yeah, sure, no worries. So it was pretty, yeah, casual. Karan was not depressed, and he is just a wonderful human being and one of my favorite people who I've met in these past 3 years. So I'm just really hoping that the truth comes out and that, you know, it's done well. The investigation is seen through properly, to which I appreciate what you guys are doing. Yeah, so right after the phone call, he did message me right away as soon as the call got cut because it was kind of abrupt also, but we just managed to say bye because it was loud, saying that he apologizes for his friend's behavior. He didn't mention what friend, but he just asked me if I knew Rishi, so I assumed it was him, but I could also hear other notes.
Let me bring in Mr. Majid Memon, who's with us on the broadcast. Mr. Memon, now fresh revelations coming to the fore. One of the two people that Karan Joseph had spoken with clearly now saying that Karan wasn't dejected and that he had mentioned.
Well, whenever a case of alleged suicide or possible suicide is being probed, the most important factor or relevant factor would be the behavior or the mood of the person who committed suicide soon before he actually ended his life. Now, in the instant case, there have been some developments which are, in fact, ruling out the possibility of suicide, and there could be something else. As earlier, one person said that if I reveal something, you know, lots of things will have come out. That would mean that probably it was not a case of suicide. Now, to rule out the possibility of suicide, this is another circumstance that the girl with whom he spoke last, soon before he ended his life, gives her opinion that from the tenor of his, conversation and from the body language or whatever, they spoke, exchange words between each other, there were absolutely no signs of depression, no signs of his going to take some such drastic steps soon thereafter, and therefore the possibility of the case being a case of suicide further diminishes. But I think this is not a conclusive circumstance. This is just
right, Mr. Memon, do you feel that the Mumbai police needs to take a fresh look at the case? We know that the case has been transferred to the crime branch, but going by the investigation that our expose, clearly there are multiple questions which still, sir, are waiting to be answered.
No, that's absolutely right. You see, once you made that, got that sting operation of NewsX, you got it. That one fellow says that it is not even just a case of suicide or murder. It is, I think, much more. If I speak, somebody XYZ will come in trouble. Now that they gave a turn to the entire investigation, and that is why perhaps, being affected by this exposure of that person, the police thought that it would be more appropriate to pass on the investigation to a better class of officers, namely from Crime Branch. And I think now that the Crime Branch is trying to collect all the attendant circumstances preceding and succeeding that particular act of his ending his life, they will also take into account this girl's statement if she speaks and says that, well, soon before the end of his life, he was in a normal mood.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Memon, for sharing your insight into this developing story. Let me also quickly bring in my colleague, Faizan Khan, who joins me over the phone line now. Faizan, now this is yet another, interesting twist in the case where Karan Joseph's friend, Avishka, she has gone on record and she's told NewsX that Karan spoke with me just prior to the incident, the timing of the incident, he did not appear to be dejected or depressed, but he did make a reference to Rishi Shah.
Well, indeed, this call is very important for the cops to investigate, if even they are investigating on the abatement of a suicide or suicide angle. Because if you see what Dr. Advocate Majid Memon have said, that the mood and the behavior of a person is very important when you are investigating a case of a suicide. Here, this lady who spoke for the last time, clearly saying that he was not at all looking depressed, because when you speak to someone, you will clearly find if the person is in depression about what is his mood and what is his behavior. So
right.
She is saying that he was not depressed. So here, cops have to investigate if it is a case of a suicide or abatement of a suicide. And second, she is again mentioning that the Karan was asking about Rishi. Then she said no. It means there was something in his mind and he wanted to share with a person who know Rishi.
Well,
so
absolutely.
This is another angle.
Absolutely. So going by what his friend, Karan's friend, is telling us, clearly there must be something that was playing on Karan's mind. Thank you so much for sharing your inputs on the story. But time